Good morning, everybody. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Today, this is going to be the first installment of a very fun series we're going to be doing called the Udyr matchup guides. We're going to go through today, starting with Graves, but we're going to go through all 40 jungle champions in a dedicated video space, so that way, if you guys ever find yourself in this matchup or the future matchups that we're going to cover, you can easily come to this video, hear me kind of talk about it. If you're learning Udyr, I also figured this would be really good thing for you. So without further ado, let's jump on in.
Call me so I can make it juicy for you.
Real quick, let's take a look at the top-down Udyr versus Graves matchup. If you guys have not played this, it's a there are just a few important categories you need to know about. So number one, you actually have a 10-second faster clear than Graves. Graves' first clear is a little bit slower at 325. Udyr can actually get pretty much any start under the sun to 315. Even a Raptor start, you can get down to 315. So always keep in mind that invading is an option you have against Graves. Damage type, Udyr can flex either AD or AP. I would say that most Udyr players tend to play AP tank. Graves does not have the option of flexing. He is 100% AD with the exception of his smoke screen. So it's a pretty big weakness that Graves as a champion has, is that he cannot flex into other hybrid damage if he needs to. In terms of scaling, both junglers are very probably top tier in terms of scaling. Graves and Udyr both scale insanely well. Both have different strengths, different weaknesses, but you definitely want to have these champions on your team late game because they both just bring so much to the table late game. Preferred start for Graves is he's either going to start his red buff or try and invade you level 1 on your top side or your bot side, depending on where he thinks you're starting. But usually you'll see a red buff or an invade start. For Udyr, a lot of Udyr players might disagree with this, but I do think Udyr tends to start either Raptors or Wolves because we are trying to scale up and do some 8 camp clears. And we don't really bring a whole lot to the table until level 4, so we don't mind having a slower start. Damage output on Udyr, I would rate at medium high. Graves is ultra high. So Graves is much more of a damage dealer than Udyr is, but Udyr you can not only, once again, do multiple types of damage, not just physical, but Udyr also, of course, is more of a tank frontline presence, less of a damage dealer. In terms of what our champions are weak to, Udyr is weak to burst and kite, and Graves is weak to magic damage. So I'll let us put 2 and 2 together here on terms of what I'm going to recommend to you guys. Let me see if I can get the right screen here. I'm going to recommend you, since Graves is weak to magic damage, I'm going to recommend Phoenix and then sustain AP. You can play full AP if you want, if the team comp is right, but on a general basis, I tend to recommend just the tank build. So what your build is going to look like is going to be Leandri's, and then at some point you want to start thinking about these 3 items. Graves is 100% physical, and he also tends to build lethality. For that reason, for the rune page, I'm going to recommend you pick up conditioning and unflinching. The reason being is these 2 runes will give you about 10 to 20 armor, which will stop his lethality. If you don't know how lethality works on Ghostblade, for instance, what it does is it reduces your armor, just your base armor. So if you get more base armor in your rune page, in other words, you can help offset a lot of the items that Graves is building, because, fun fact about Graves, Graves also does not have any % max HP damage in him. In other words, he's all burst. It's kind of like similar to Corki in the sense of like, these champions just want to burst you quickly and then not deal with sustain fights. If you play sustain Phoenix, once again, Leandri's will be your first item. Probably armor boots into Deadman's would be great. Heartsteel is a great second option if you want. But any high health item, as long as you get Deadman's, armor boots, and Leandri's, you will have more than enough damage to deal with the Graves. And kind of like we were talking about on this first screen, Graves scales into a damage dealer, Udyr scales into a tank. So with that, keep in mind, as long as we pick up tank items that are designed for the Graves, that's kind of all you need to know. Final thing I'm going to talk about in this section is how to defend against Graves. So Graves players tend to start red, meaning if Graves is on blue side of the map, he'll start down here, and if he's on top side of the map, he'll start up here. Most Graves, if anything, when they're invading you, will invade on the same side of the map as their red buff. Reason being is not only is the red side of the jungle very fast for Graves, But let's say things go poorly, or even if he just starts red, the red sustain will allow him to heal up. Graves' damage is 100% auto attack based, not 100%, but most of it comes from auto attacks, so him getting a red buff is a big deal. Whenever I play in Graves, against Graves, I expect this side of the map, if I'm blue side, and then, or red side. Yes, if I'm blue side, I would expect Graves to start on this side of the map and potentially invade me on my top side if he can. And then if I'm blue side, or if I'm red side, I would expect the opposite. I would expect Graves to start his red again, and then potentially look at setting up a vertical jungle or a strong side, whatever you want to call it, where he just chooses to play this little number. Either that, or he'll clear to the other side of the map. Again, if Graves is red side, he'll probably start red Krugs and then clear down. If he's blue side, he'll start red Krugs and then clear up. Every now and then you'll see a blue start Graves. Just keep it in mind, if Graves does start blue, his clear speed is really, really slow, so you can always invade him. Again, let's assume you're actually blue side in this example, and you load into the game. You know Graves is going to path down because you watched a WilliefknP video and heard that most Graves players start red. What you could do, you've got a few interesting clear paths. You can do your Raptors to his blue to his Grump. That will let you know he's guaranteed on his red side, and it opens up the possibility of a fast gank into just a fast topside clear where you just start at Krugs and clear all the way to topside. The other start that's really, really good against Graves is I don't tend to do Raptor starts against Graves. I tend to do the Wolf start. So if he is, again, starting red side, let's say you're blue side, if you do Wolves to Raptors to Krugs to red to blue to Grump, it will get you a 9 camp start. Since he's doing a 6 camp, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Crab, go back to base, spend gold up here. This is a 6 camp, 7 camp with Crab if he manages to get the Crab. If you do a Wolf 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Crab, 7, 8, 9, never go back to base and just do 9 camp starts, you will naturally be down here at 5 minutes, or level 5 at 5 minutes. Graves will be crossing mid close to 5 minutes, looking to do his Wolves, and you've got a nice 30-second lead to do the Dragon if you want, or what have you. As red side of the map, it's the exact opposite. You can do Raptors over to blue and Grump. Two things will play out. Number one, if you do Raptors on red side over to his blue or his Grump, then you know for a fact that he's going to be on his blue or his Grump if he started blue, right? So then you just come kill him if he starts blue. If he starts red, guess what? Same deal. You'll get a Raptors blue Grump, and then you get to go up here and do whatever you want. Gank, it doesn't really matter, and then you just keep rolling with the tempo. That is kind of the one start. The other start you have, of course, is you can do Raptors to Wolves to Grump to blue to red to Krugs. Since Graves has a very slow clear at 325 or so, by the time you do this clear path, it's that 9 camp clear, but on the other side of the map, you will actually be out in river about the same time as Graves, and so you can help protect from your top side. Gank again against Graves. I'm planning on either doing a 9 camp start or invading Raptors to blue to Grump, depending on what the mid situation is, who's got prio. Rule of thumb with invading is you definitely want to have strong mid priority before you invade. So if you're blue side, I know I just keep changing here, but if you're blue side, you definitely want to see a strong mid laner shoving in before you try and invade or anything like that. If you've got like a Kassadin or an Annie, keep in mind this Raptors to blue to Grump could go really poorly, because if he's here, you know, and he starts blue and you catch him on the Grump and you don't have mid prio, then you just get pinchered by Graves in mid lane and you'll most likely die 100% of the time. So those tend to be how I play into Graves. Again, Dead Man's Plate is very, very good against Graves. I would strongly recommend considering it. Armor Boots is very good against Graves. Conditioning and unflinching is very good against Graves. And then kind of your game plan is you just want to scale alongside Graves and be more of a tanky frontline presence. Once you get enough health, close to 3,000 to 4,000, you really start to take over the game in terms of pressure against Graves. Udyr just does so much damage late game for no reason, because you do percent HP damage. Graves is certainly what I would classify as a mid-game champ. He's a mid to late game champ. His scaling is insane, don't get me wrong. He scales all the way until the end of the game. But due to how his kit works, he really struggles in those late game team fights where a single crowd control ability, like a bear stun for instance, can really throw him off his game plan, so just keep that in mind. Outside of that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first iteration of our matchup guide video. I want to keep it short and sweet. If you guys want me to add further layers into these videos, I can, but I figured the shorter and sweeter these videos are, the more succinct they are, the more valuable they will be to you guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Head over to Twitch. We also do daily Twitch and live streams, and if you want private coaching, head over to my Discord. We do private coaching as well. Thanks, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for ya.